For more than 100 years, Rome and Carthage had fought for control of the Mediterranean world. They were not simply rivals. They were opposites. Rome was a land empire built on discipline, conquest, and military power. Carthage was a maritime giant, a civilization of merchants, sailors, and wealth unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. Its ships controlled trade routes that stretched across Africa, Spain, Sicily, and beyond. Twice before, the two powers had gone to war. Twice, the Mediterranean had been drenched in blood. The first war lasted more than 20 years. The second produced one of history's greatest military commanders, Hannibal Barca, the man who marched elephants across the Alps and brought Rome to the edge of destruction. But Hannibal was gone. Carthage had been defeated. Rome had won, yet inside the Roman Senate, many believed the greatest mistake Rome could make was allowing its enemy to survive. Because Carthage was rebuilding, its markets were active once again. Its ports were crowded with ships. Its economy was recovering. And to many Romans, a recovering Carthage was more dangerous than an army on the battlefield. The fear slowly spread through the political elite. The Republic had already defeated Carthage. Now it wanted something more permanent. This would not be a war for territory. This would not be a war for tribute. This would become a war for existence itself. Among Rome's senators, one man became the symbol of this obsession. His name was Cato the Elder. He had visited Carthage years earlier and had been shocked by what he saw. The city was wealthy. Its people were thriving. Its merchants filled the markets with goods from across the known world. The enemy that Rome believed defeated was becoming prosperous once again. To Cato, this was unacceptable. And so he began repeating the same sentence at the end of every speech in the Senate. It did not matter whether the discussion was about taxes, roads, military campaigns, or grain supplies. Every speech ended exactly the same way. Carthago delenda est. Carthage must be destroyed. Again and again he repeated those words, day after day, year after year. Eventually, what began as the opinion of one man became the policy of an empire. Fear transformed into strategy. Strategy transformed into preparation. Rome no longer wanted to defeat Carthage. Rome wanted to erase the possibility that Carthage could ever rise again. The decision had been made long before the first sword was drawn. The war was already inevitable. The only thing left was finding an excuse. In 149 BC, Rome finally found the opportunity it had been waiting for. Roman diplomats arrived with demands for complete submission. Desperate to avoid another catastrophic war, the leaders of Carthage accepted. Rome demanded hostages. Carthage complied. Rome demanded weapons. Carthage complied again. Thousands upon thousands of swords, spears, shields, catapults, and armor pieces were delivered to Roman forces. The people watched as generations of military equipment disappeared into Roman hands. It was humiliating, but if surrender meant peace, many believed it was worth the sacrifice. Then Rome revealed its true intentions. The citizens of Carthage were ordered to abandon the city completely. Every family, every merchant, every child, the entire population would move inland and rebuild far away from the sea, far away from the ports that had made Carthage powerful, far away from the walls their ancestors had built. The city itself would cease to exist. For a moment, silence spread through Carthage. Then came anger. The Romans had never wanted peace. The surrender had been meaningless. The decision was clear. If Carthage was going to die, it would die fighting. The transformation was immediate. Workshops reopened overnight. Blacksmiths worked without rest. Temples donated their metals to be melted into weapons. Homes were stripped of useful materials. Every available resource was redirected toward survival. According to ancient accounts, women cut off their own hair to create ropes for siege engines and war machines. The entire city became a factory. The entire population became soldiers. Children carried supplies. Merchants forged arrows. Priests helped build defenses. Every citizen understood what was coming. Rome was not preparing for conquest. Rome was preparing for extermination. Massive walls were reinforced. Food was rationed. Barricades appeared throughout the streets. The harbor was secured. The gates were fortified. For the first time in generations, Carthage stood completely alone. No allies would come. No rescue fleets would arrive. No neighboring kingdoms would intervene. The city faced the greatest military power in the world by itself. Yet surrender was no longer an option. If Rome wanted every stone of Carthage destroyed, then every stone would have to be taken by force. The Roman army arrived expecting a quick victory. Instead, they found one of the fiercest defenses of the ancient world. The walls of Carthage stretched for miles. Behind them stood a population that understood exactly what defeat meant. Roman siege engines moved into position. Warships blockaded the harbor. Legions surrounded the city from every direction. The trap was complete, and still Carthage refused to fall. Roman assaults were thrown back. Siege towers burned. Scaling ladders collapsed beneath defenders. Stones, arrows, and fire rained down on attacking soldiers. Weeks became months. Months became years. The campaign that Rome expected to end quickly was becoming an embarrassment. The defenders fought with desperation unlike anything Roman commanders had anticipated. Because for the people inside the city, there was no difference between surrender and death. Every street became a defensive line. Every gate became a fortress. Every house became a battlefield waiting to happen. Rome had conquered kingdoms across 3 continents. But Carthage refused to disappear quietly. The city that Rome wanted erased was making the empire pay for every single step forward. After nearly 3 years of siege, Rome finally began to break through the defenses of Carthage. The harbor that had once made the city rich and powerful had become a prison. Supplies were disappearing. Food was becoming scarce. Exhaustion spread among the defenders. But still, the city refused to surrender. Roman commander Scipio Aemilianus tightened the blockade and prepared for the final assault. Siege engines pounded the walls day and night. Battering rams crashed against ancient stone. Eventually, the impossible happened. The Roman legions forced their way inside. But victory did not come. Not yet. The battle simply changed location. Instead of fighting outside the city, Rome now had to conquer it from within. The streets of Carthage became killing grounds. Defenders attacked from rooftops. Arrows flew from windows. Roman soldiers entered buildings only to find enemies waiting above them. Entire blocks had to be captured one house at a time. The advance slowed to a crawl. Veterans who had fought in countless campaigns later described the fighting in Carthage as some of the most brutal combat they had ever experienced. Because this was no longer a siege. This was survival. And the defenders intended to make Rome remember every single street it conquered. The fighting inside Carthage became chaos. Buildings caught fire. Smoke filled the streets. Collapsed walls created barriers and traps throughout the city. Roman soldiers advanced only a few meters each day. Every intersection became a battle. Every staircase became an ambush. Entire families fought beside professional soldiers. Men who had never held weapons before now stood shoulder to shoulder with veterans. The defenders understood the reality of their situation. There would be no negotiations, no mercy, no second chance. Rome had not come to occupy the city. Rome had come to erase it. Ancient historians describe scenes of unimaginable desperation. People fought from rooftops. They hurled stones and burning debris onto advancing troops below. When buildings could no longer be defended, the survivors retreated deeper into the city. Street by street, house by house, floor by floor, the Roman advance continued. Slow, methodical, relentless, but every victory came at a cost. The conquerors of the Mediterranean were discovering that destroying a civilization was far more difficult than defeating an army. Eventually, the surviving defenders retreated to Bursa. The great citadel that overlooked the city became the final refuge of Carthage. Tens of thousands of civilians crowded into the remaining streets and temples. The food was almost gone. Water was scarce. The city below burned endlessly. At night, the flames illuminated the sky for miles across the Mediterranean. Still, surrender was rejected. The defenders had lost the war long ago, but they refused to lose their dignity. Roman forces surrounded the final district and prepared for the last assault. The attack was devastating. Fighting erupted inside temples and public buildings. The surviving defenders resisted with whatever weapons they could find. Some fought with swords, others with tools, others with stones. Ancient sources describe scenes of complete desperation. Parents protecting children, soldiers defending ruined buildings, citizens refusing to abandon their homes even as the city collapsed around them. Bursa became more than a military position. It became a symbol, the final heartbeat of a dying civilization. What followed shocked even the Romans. For 6 days and 6 nights, Carthage burned. Entire districts disappeared beneath fire and smoke. The streets became rivers of ash and rubble. Buildings collapsed one after another. The sound of war was replaced by the sound of destruction itself. Roman soldiers moved through the ruins, capturing survivors. Thousands were taken prisoner. Thousands more had already died defending the city. The harbor was destroyed. The markets vanished. The temples disappeared beneath flames. One of the richest cities in the world was being erased before the eyes of history. Ancient writers describe scenes so horrifying that even hardened soldiers struggled to look upon them. For generations, Carthage had challenged Rome. It had fielded great armies. It had produced Hannibal himself. Now almost nothing remained. The great rival of Rome had become smoke carried by the wind. The war was over, but the destruction had only begun. In the year 146 BC, the city of Carthage officially ceased to exist. The surviving population was sold into slavery. Its monuments were demolished. Its homes were destroyed. Its ports were dismantled. Its history was buried beneath Roman victory. For centuries, stories would emerge claiming that the Romans spread salt across the land so that nothing would ever grow there again. Modern historians debate whether this truly happened, but in many ways, the story survives because it captures a deeper truth. Rome did not simply want to defeat Carthage. Rome wanted the world to forget that Carthage had ever existed. And for a time, it almost succeeded. The destruction of Carthage sent a message to every kingdom, every city, and every future enemy of Rome. Resistance would be punished. Defiance would be remembered. Mercy was not guaranteed. More than 2,000 years later, the fall of Carthage remains one of history's clearest examples of total war. Not conquest, not victory, erasure. Rome did not merely defeat its greatest rival. Rome erased it from the world.